Well, you could probably tell right now there's a difference in the presentation for the show. I hope you guys like the backdrop a little bit. If there's a little bit of some other images here that kind of look like they're cutting into the scenery, I'm still trying to figure out the bugs here on trying to how to perfect it a little bit. So I apologize for that. This is really just a test run to see exactly how I can present this properly. But the issue I wanted to discuss is Greg Gutfeld of Fox News decided to blow his top with AOC saying that we have a moral obligation to cancel student loan debt for millions of Americans. And what this really is a case of not just entitlement, as that's my tax money, I get to keep it, but it's also, well, you signed a contract. And Greg Gutfeld says this in pretty heinous terms here. He's like, screw you, that's on you. You made the decision, that's your responsibility. I should use my money to pay your taxes. What this really is, understand, guys, this is just a rich person saying, I earned my way in life. I get to keep my money. You signed that contract. You have an obligation, sir. I did. Look what happened to me. So these guys, they don't see any universality in anything. They don't see any basic commons at all. They think everything is about the individual. They totally bought in to the Ronald Reagan and Margaret Thatcher talking points. More specifically, the Margaret Thatcher talking point of, there is no society, there's only the individual. Yeah, whatever, Marge, whatever. And then, AOC, of course, is right. We do have a moral obligation because education is incredibly important for the future. And in order to ensure education for the future, to cover the most amount of people possible, you have to make it tuition free, meaning you have to have it paid for with tax dollars. So if these billionaires and these corporations are so unhappy about paying their taxes, boo-hoo! Well, you know what can happen? You could go to other countries if you want to, but you got to sit down with the workers and hand over operations of that facility to them. You can help them transition into a new business if you want, but you personally could leave. You just can't take away the job security, that's all. You have to transfer all the contracts, all the stuff, day-to-day operations that the business goes through. If the workers rather decide to stick with the same line of work, well then you have to make sure that they get it as you head out the door, so they have their revenue and you can have yours as you move out. That's the best way to do it. But that said, Greg Gutfeld this is an example of pure rich person entitlement, pure elitist entitlement. Like, oh, why give the peasants something that helps them? Because I'm rich, I've made it, I'm superior. You exist to wash my clothes and clean my car and sweep my floors, cook my meals and drive me places, yes. And you must not scratch my car at all, or I will fire you and throw you to the curb where the wolves can have you for dinner. Like, these people just don't get it, man. They don't get that human beings are human beings. It's like I've been saying before, capitalism is a game of numbers. It reduces life, resources, people to numbers. It's like numbers are something we kind of discovered by observing the physical world around us. They have no feeling, they have no emotion. Human beings have feeling, they have emotion, they have physical and mental needs, physiological needs. So do animals, and so does vegetation, really. I mean, I don't know about the feeling part. I don't know if anybody knows that. But they are living things, and they do need to be nurtured. They do need to be made so that they can produce the resources we need to survive, and that the other animals that we depend on for sustenance can have for their survival. Right? So this is education right here, guys. What this guy is wanting is, you made the contract, you signed it, you must pay it. Well, guess what, Greg? Those contracts were under false pretenses because the people giving out those loans knew that they would never be able to pay them off, namely the banks. That's why we need to make education tuition free in this country, because that means that everybody in life can get the education they want and be able to kind of catapult themselves from where they are without having to be stuck with debt. Because the whole point back in the day with not student loans, but rather education through college especially, was to get ready for a career outside of the service sector, really. Because the service sector is where you could just get a job anytime you wanted. But now, the criteria for jobs has gone up and up and up and up and up and up and up, and people are tired of it. They're really tired of busting their humps to not make a living wage, and education helps. It helps them not just to prepare for a career, maybe working for somebody else, but also a career that they might want to do independently. That's a good thing, like a vocational school, or for me, for instance, when I went to college, I took music classes, I took acting classes, I took a lot of stuff that people back in those days would consider not respectable. You know, this was kind of almost the tail end of the days where people were still going, you know, be a doctor, be a lawyer, don't do sports, don't do arts, it's not respectable, you never make anything of it. Well, nowadays, you can make anything pretty much out of anything if you want to. But it's really hard. It's incredibly hard because you're up against behemoths. And that's why education is so important. Not only do we need to know about, like, how to do the day-to-day things of everyday life in this country, that's part of how we need to reform our education, but we also need to make it so that no matter what you choose to do with your life, it makes you happy, and you can sustain your life that way. You know, you don't have to be making some rich douchebag even richer just because he wants to make more profit. So yeah, I mean, that's what really scares these people, is if we had that kind of independence as human beings, as citizens, then they wouldn't have the power over us they have now. And therefore, they wouldn't have the ability to become as rich or powerful as they are now. That's what really terrifies them. So that's why Gutfeld is busting his gut there and blowing his top and acting like a complete idiot. Because, you know, he wants to keep that power. He wants to keep that entitlement. He wants to keep that status of, I lord over you, kind of thing. And AOC is 100% right here. And I'll put a link to the video below. We really need to make college tuition free in this country. It's essential for a civilized society to have free education for people. It is absolutely essential. So, I hope you all enjoyed this test run. I'm sorry if the images looked a little weird. I'm still working on it. So, I'll talk to you guys later.